I am so happy to see you.
I'm very happy to see you.
I'd love to start with your childhood. Was there anything in particular that you can point to that you feel led you towards this path? Because it's a very specific path that you've chosen.
I grew up with a mother who was a commercial photographer, and she had a dark room in our basement, and I just
so cool.
Yeah, so I grew up with a lot of photography around me, and my mother bought me like a throwaway camera when I was in preschool, so I was photographing like really terrible photography. But as I got older, I got a nicer camera, and I just really love photographing my friends, like the people around me, and documenting that. And I had no idea that that was like something you could actually do in your life, because I never wanted to be a photographer, like in the way of like a commercial photographer. And then I saw my first documentary, and it was just like, what? It was like one of those moments that you're so inspired. You're like, oh my God. And it was like a verite film. It was so observant that I was watching people in a way that I felt like there was no camera there at all. Mm-hmm. And that is the thing. And I remember being in life as a child or a teenager or whatever, photographing things and feeling like, oh wow, this moment is so amazing. If only there was a way to capture it without people knowing I'm here filming, like not in a creepy way, but like it's such a beautiful like moment.
It really is such an art. And I really feel like you do such a great job at capturing those moments. I have so many pictures that you've taken where you can feel that energy in the room, and you're a superstar.
Thanks.
During COVID, you won Best New Documentary Director Award at the Tribeca Film Festival. And I would love, because it's one of my favorite stories, I would love for you to share what happened on that Zoom call, because it was COVID, so it was through Zoom. It's such a great story.
So I had gotten into Tribeca, and it was so exciting. And then when the pandemic hit, it got obviously like it was no longer, and they were still going to, they were going to move forward with awards. That was the only thing. They weren't going to show the films anymore. They were just going to do awards. And I get an email from Tribeca, and I pulled it up. It's basically, I'm
you have it.
Yeah. So she's like, as I'm sure you know, we'll be announcing the winners of the competition shortly. Even though we can't be together for this, we would wanted to make the occasion feel like really special, like a very special event. So we were putting together Zoom interviews with our competition filmmakers, like you'd have if you were walking the red carpet. The content team is going to ask about how you would like storytelling to inspire the future we are shaping together. Okay, so this is the question that like really, like I was just like, oh my God, how do I answer that question? Like I was just like,
right. Wow.
It was like such a big question, and I was like, I think I was going to be recorded with the content team, and I thought this was the main thing I had to like talk to them about. And so I was like, for days I like stressed about it, and I was like, I have no idea how to answer this. Like, and I talked to my team, and they were like, we don't, like, it's too big, like blah, blah, blah. So I it's time for the call, and I get on, and there's like 6 other like people on this Zoom.
All of which who are, to most other people, are very recognizable, famous people.
I was told it was the content team. I saw these people. Some of them look kind of familiar to me, especially Joel McHale. Okay, especially Joel McHale, because I had just seen Tiger King. It had just come out, and Joel basically had done some kind of post-documentary interview with the participants.
Oh my gosh, okay.
And I'd seen him on that, and I was like, and then I saw him on the screen, and I was like, oh wow, that guy is like part of the content team. So I guess maybe that, I don't know. So they all are asking me questions, but some of them looked a little familiar, and they started by asking me like about the film and like all this stuff. So I'm answering the questions. I'm like, this question's not coming up yet. Like, they're not asking me the main question I prepared for. And I'm looking at their faces, and I'm just like, how do I know these people? Josh, like, Hutcherson, I was like, did I meet him somehow? Like, I was looking at the back of his, like, little square, and I was like, is that LA or is that New York? Like, I was, like, trying to solve it, because they were, like, but anyways, they keep going. And then all of a sudden, they say to me, we've watched all these films and blah, 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 and you're the winner. And I was like, if you watch the video, and you should almost like grab it and pull it up.
Yeah,
for this.
I will.
What we thought were the top one, and yours was always in everyone's list, and that's why you won.
Oh my God. What?
Congratulations.
Unanimous. No way. What? Wait.
The album.
Thank you.
In that literal moment is when I realized what was happening. Like, I was so shocked. Like, I was like, looked at everybody and I was like, who are these people? Like, I was like, oh my God.
Thank you so much. That's so amazing. I was not expecting to find out right now.
While filming Jacinta, you were in numerous dangerous situations.
My first time being incarcerated, I was 15, and there hasn't been many breaks.
What are you doing, Mom? I don't want to get caught at your window.
I love you, Mom. I love you, Jacinta.
My mother has another 3 years.
There's really no way to prepare for leaving her.
I wish you could just stay here.
I feel guilty, but I miss my daughter.
Last thing I said to Kaylin is, I promise you I'll be back for you. 10 years later, my kid's still there.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm never gonna be a mom.
Yeah, the absolute right to remain silent.
My addiction is way stronger than I am. When I would look at myself, I would literally see her.
She's my mom, and I want to believe that she's going to get better.
It says I love you yesterday, tomorrow, and today. Family together at heart. Even in distance, never apart.
I just want this to be the last time.
I wanted to know, how do you keep your cool in these moments? Have you ever stopped filming due to discomfort?
When I'm filming, in order to kind of blend in and into the surroundings, I just keep the camera on. I just keep it running.
Right.
And I'm not making decisions of when I turn it on, turn it off. So that's one way I feel comfortable. But also, I knew in the situation of Jacinta, because I think out of my films, that was probably the one that was maybe had the most dangerous situations in it. Jacinta and I had spent so much time together, and there was so much trust there, and I knew she had my back in any situation, that if something happened, I knew Jacinta would, if she was aware enough, would be able to kind of like stick up for me. But also, I think because of her trust in me, it really helped trust with other people that I was around. And it was such a small community of people that she knew forever, that when I came in, either they would know of me already, or I would always, like when I came in, always ask for permission of literally everybody in the room, especially if anybody on camera. Sometimes I think I had moments where I wasn't sure I wanted to go into a building with her. I had a friend of mine in Portland, Maine, who was a journalist, and I would send him a text message of my location. And I also, if I was really scared, I would call him first to be like, hey, trying to like hoping that he would convince me out of it. You know, so I'd be like, I really don't think I should go in this building. And he would always be like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I'd be like, I don't know, die. And he'd be like, you're not going to die. You got to go in. And so I'm grateful that he always pushed me to go, because then I would always go in and things always seemed to work out. Often, if I felt nervous about somebody particular, I would just go immediately to them. And in this particular case, the person I was nervous with had said, no, you can film, just don't film me. And then like at a certain point, I left Jacinta. She was in one room, and I went out and started talking to him. And then we got in this great conversation, and I ended up having a great interview with him. And he ended up being such a good contact for me in the community. If I ever wasn't sure where Jacinta was, or if something happened, he would call me. When Jacinta came out, sometimes people would be like, why didn't you stop her? Why didn't you take the needle away from her? And I'm like, that's not how addiction works. You can't just like, if it was, then we'd have a lot of people who aren't using.
And that's not how filming works. I mean, you're trying to depict a true story of what's going on, which is why it's so impressive what you do. But I think from an outsider, they want you to interject.
Exactly. And it's just like, and there were times in the filming of that I like didn't I think Jacinta still thought that I was trying to make a story about recovery, which is how the film started. And then when she started using again, I think she felt a lot of shame and guilt and like feeling like, because she's also like very much a people pleaser and she didn't want to let me down. And I was like, that is not my job. Like to be here, like in your life, making you feel badly about anything that you're doing. I, of course, want you to be sober and want you to be like, not using, but like if that's where you're going with this, then if you want me around, if you want me here for this, then I will be here and I will learn how to use Narcan if I need to do that. If you ever relapse or, I think in certain ways Jacinta would say and has said in interviews that she actually felt probably safe for me being around because if something happened,
yes,
I could call. And also, she actually said that she felt like she was doing less with me there because she never wanted it to scare me,
100%. So with your upcoming documentary, Baby Doe, you give an intimate and harrowing look at how shame and fear can lead to disassociation and denial during pregnancy. How do you choose what to document and what in particular connected you to Gail?
Over 26 years ago, Gail Eastwood Ritchie left her biological child for dead.
How anybody could do something like that?
I did not know I was pregnant. The next thing I knew, I was giving birth, baby in the toilet.
How do you create a life and just discard it?
She could face a maximum sentence of life in prison.
She has not only married the baby's father, they have 3 other children together.
Church-going family, I just don't understand.
I first came across a story about a girl named Emily Weaver who had given birth in her sorority house in Ohio. She gave birth in the toilet, basically like was in denial of her pregnancy. The baby was found and in a bag outside by the trash, and she was arrested and went through a trial and then basically got life without parole. But the thing that I was interested in when I read this article about here was this idea of pregnancy denial. And then when I thought more about, and when I did more research on it, on these girls' ages, it's often like teenagers or like early 20s. And to me, the idea of a girl like, and just myself, like looking back when I was a teenager, like getting pregnant and like literally being able to tell nobody in my life, like, and then giving birth alone, quietly in a bathroom, which often happens, by the way, in the parents' houses. And so to me, that seemed just so tragic. And that's why I was interested in like looking more into these kind of stories, because they happen like quite often around the world, not just in the US. So I started filming. I was interested in reaching out to Emily's attorneys, started filming with them, and I got access to Emily in the prison, and she was interested in having her story told. And I followed, and I spent a lot of time with Emily's mother, and I filmed for about a year. And I realized that I really just needed, because they're not one-off situations. Like if you look at all these girls, they all are very kind of similar. They're all kind of people pleasers. Like they don't want to make waves. They might have a dysfunctional family unit, or they might have like, they don't want to cause more drama in an already kind of like maybe difficult family life or whatever, that they keep quiet about it. And they're shame around being pregnant as a teenager. You might come from a very Christian family where you're not supposed to have sex before marriage and you get pregnant. And the feeling is that the parent is going to abandon them and everybody in their life will turn against them. These girls are like, you either know you're pregnant and like you are denying it to yourself because it's too scary to tell anybody. And I think if you look at denial, there's so many different types of denial that are driven by fear. And so you're scared to tell somebody something. So you deny it to yourself too. And I think it's like a magical thinking, this isn't happening. And the body and the mind are so kind of complicit and fascinating that these girls don't like look pregnant. Like they don't look pregnant to themselves. They don't look pregnant to people around them. Emily's mother had gotten changed with her at a wedding and didn't recognize she was pregnant weeks before she gave birth to a full-term baby. So anyways, I put a Google alert out and I found this woman also in Ohio who back in 93, she had given birth in a toilet, thought the baby was stillborn, put it in a bag, was so terrified of anybody finding out, especially her boyfriend, that she put the baby in the woods. And she had a family life that was like very, like her father was kind of emotionally abusive, was an alcoholic, like kind of picked on her a little bit. Like she didn't think that anybody would love her. And then when she met her boyfriend and he actually like was interested in her, she was so terrified of losing that, but also felt like when she got pregnant, the burden was on her to she didn't want anybody to find out because she didn't want him to get in trouble either. The baby is found and it was named like Geauga's child, and it was a big case, a big situation, like for years, 27 years, on the anniversary, the community would get together and they'd be like, justice for Geauga's child, who was this woman. They were never able to find her. But then with DNA genealogy that caught the Golden State Killer in 2017 or something, they ended up digging up this baby and basically getting some DNA from, I think, the tooth bed or something. And they, after a year of searching, they found Gail. And now she's married to the boyfriend. She's got 3 children, grandchildren, and she's like very much part of the church community and everything. So I thought this was such an interesting case because she's a mother. A lot of these girls, they don't end up ever becoming mothers because if they get caught, they go to prison and they spend their whole lives there, and you never know what could have been, you know? Wow. So anyways, Gail is a mother, grandmother, and I embedded with her and her family like before the trial happened, so through all the trial prep and everything. And as far as like meeting Gail and wanting to do the story on her, because there were a lot of other women that we found in the news, I met her. She was very different than Jacinta in the sense that Jacinta was so articulate about her experience. Gail had buried so many things about her experience that she wasn't able to like reach them. And so when she was asked questions, she wasn't able to tell them how she felt or anything because she had really blocked it. But I could feel it all over her body. She started she looked like this tortured woman. He started crying as soon as I saw her. And after like speaking to her for about 4 hours, at the beginning, she was not interested in taking part of it, but she had come to talk to me because her husband was. And so I remember at the very end of the conversation, she looked at me and she was like, you know what? I'm going to do this for Emily. If my story can help Emily, then I will do this.
Yeah, I think there's this sickness and this illness within culture where when someone does something that we don't agree with or we don't like the sound of it, we don't like the look of it, we want to paint that person as a monster. And it brings us comfort because we say, oh my gosh, that would never be my neighbor. That would never be a parent of someone, I'm friends with.
Yeah, I definitely think I think that's also what makes it very interesting is that there's such a complicity in the society around the girl. You know, you can blame the girl, but maybe we should start looking at ourselves because like if a girl can't tell anybody in her life, what's the messaging she's getting?
As you know, and you've like come with me, but we've toured different parts of the US together, and even I remember one of the places in particular that we went to, and it was all about babies' rights, and it wasn't taking into consideration any incest. It wasn't taking into consideration rape. It wasn't taking into consideration a woman's choice, a girl's body. And it was everywhere. I mean, the advertising for it was nonstop. And then there's no accessibility or education surrounding birth control. Just us driving through those towns, you feel yourself having difficulty breathing. It's a very claustrophobic feeling. And I can't imagine, this is, me at like 24, feeling that and experiencing that. I can't imagine fully growing up, only seeing that, only experiencing that.
And also too, if you're in a situation where you're in denial and it comes from religious reasons like Gail, an option is not abortion for you because in Gail's mind, abortion's murder, right? Mm-hmm. So like for her options were really like, she didn't know what to do because and even her daughter told me later, she was like, if she had told people, she would have been totally exiled. Like, she has a memory of a person from her choir. Someone found out that the girl in the choir was pregnant, and she had to stand up in front of the congregation and apologize. You know, so like that's an early memory.
And the person that she had relations with
never
went on to be like the head of a hedge fund.
Yeah. There's never, it's always like the shame on the girl.
There's no ability to have an abortion, but then if you do give birth, there's no support.
And these cases are going up. Like I talked to our expert a lot, and she's usually an expert in court for these cases. And she said her phone's been like ringing off the hook. Like in Texas, like at the end of I think it was the end of 2024, there was an article that said they were talking about dumpster babies. So babies found in dumpsters. And the local sheriff said he saw it as an epidemic. Like all of a sudden, there are so many babies, like, you know, and that's the thing. It's like these girls aren't connecting to this at all. Like they're not even, it's really important to know that they're not looking pregnant to people.
Right.
And that's the thing that people can't wrap their minds around. But I've seen pictures of Emily, like, and her mother showed me her shorts that she was wearing. Like these girls are not looking pregnant. And then when they give birth, they have no connection to this baby, but they also don't even see it as a baby. Like they're so in denial. Like it's not, and it seems so like, it seems, I guess, from the outside, very malicious that like, how could you like, but it's just, they're not in their right mind. But other countries in the world treat this as a mental health issue. Like in Canada and Europe, like there's 29 countries that you would never get more than 5 years, and you'd probably get mental health care. But here in the US, they list it as murder, and you get, and if the victim is under 12, you're automatically going to get charged with aggravated murder, which goes to life without or the death penalty. Like the prosecution told me in Emily's case, they wanted to give her the death penalty over this. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I'm very grateful that you are focusing in on this in particular, because I do think it needs to be spoken about more.
Thank you for the question.
Something that never ceases to amaze me is your ability to fully immerse yourself in whatever you're filming, whether it's driving hours up to the prison to visit Jacinta, or living on a tour bus with me. Mm-hmm. How do you unwind after a long shoot day?
Shooting for me often involves so much travel and like leaving home for such long periods of time where I'm in hotels and like and I'm like kind of never alone because I'm constantly filming. Like I'm such a, you know this about me. Like I'm such a crazy person that I won't, like I'm so scared of missing moments that I'm constantly like tapped into filming. So when I get home, I really like to like do nothing. Like literally just try to slide back into a schedule, I think, which is, I'm sure you can relate going on tour. It's really hard to jump back into your life when you've been gone so long. And so just like, you know, watching movies or seeing friends or like, you know, making dinner at home, but you know, it's funny, this question, because like when I was making Jacinta, I was really struggling with coming home because I would come home for periods of time and then go right back up to Maine. And it was such a hard film to film, but also to constantly be in these places. And I remember when I came home, I would do all the things that I tried to do to settle down, and I would try to see friends. But because it was my whole entire existence, whenever I talked about my life, I'd talk about the film, and people would ask me about the film. And I was just living in it constantly. Like I was dreaming about it. When I saw friends, it wasn't really like a, you know, sometimes it was nice to talk about certain things, but I was constantly talking about it and there was no escape. And then you hired me, and this is when I met you, because Universal Records had called for me to go on tour with you. And that was back in 2017. And I remember, and I told you and Kate this, that like you guys were like, it was so therapeutic for me to be on the road with you. Like it felt really like positive. Like your energy was so light, and like it was such a beautiful thing to be able to focus on you guys, because I was having such a hard time decompressing because of like it had become my world in this way, that when I got to film you guys, I was focused on something that was so different. And it was just wonderful. I just like, that was such a lovely way to decompress from that film, was spending all that time with you guys.
I don't know. It's really sweet because you are one of my closest friends, and same as Kate, you're one of her closest friends. It's really sweet that we found each other in that way. I like the idea of like us offering some sort of decompression from that. But it's cute because it's kind of our friendship story too, of like, you know, offering that, whether conscious or not. And when I saw Jacinta, by the way, it was even more shocking than the updates you had been giving. To see it, you know, in real life and real time. It was so impressive that you were able to do both.
The crazy thing about that was that I had just met you, just started filming. I think I met you in LA in the spring and got on your tour bus. And right after LA, the first stop was Coachella. And we drove into Coachella. We're on our little bunks. And I wake up to a text message that I have to go back to Maine. Yes. And I had to say to you guys, barely like knowing you at that point, like, I'm so sorry. And I had gotten this kind of, I had warned Universal Records that I might have to leave if something happened. And I had to let you guys know that. And I remember Kate, when I told her, she was like full of joy. She's jumping up and down and she was like, go. Like, she was just so like supportive of that, you know, and you too. Like, I think like how crazy to like do one day and then leave for 5, you know? And like, and for such a crazy reason, I have to go to prison. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, you know.
Right.
But anyways, you guys were just, you know, so great. It was just such a joy.
Well, I only brought you on here for you to tell me how great I am and how great Kate is. I just love you so much, and I'm so impressed by you. And I'm excited myself to see your next documentary, which is Baby Doe. Thank you so much, Jess. I love you.
Thank you. I love you.